Hello friends, we're going to be looking at a topic that might be seemingly scary and unpleasant to you, but in the interest of some persons who would want to know, we're going to be looking at signs of death on your palm. Death is an illusion. It is an illusion because so many people think that when it happens, that is the end of life. But that is not true. Death is a rebirth. Death is a medium through which life again is given. Okay? But the unfortunate thing is that sometimes many people die premature, which hurts the most. So we're going to be looking at this early indication of death. They are indeed imprinted on the palm. Okay? The first sign of death I'm going to be talking about is when you find a cross on the headline under the mount of Saturn, right here. Cross is not a good sign in many instances. Okay? If it's found on the mount of Jupiter, it's a good sign. You'll be a responsible husband, a responsible father in your family. You could make a good choice of wife in getting married to. If it's found on the mount of Sun, it means you have a great deal of interest to work and you will be met with positive results as a result of your enthusiasm and interest in that work. But when it is under the mount of Saturn, it is a very bad sign to have, because the mount of Saturn has a lot to do with seriousness, it has a lot to do with reflection, it has a lot to do with melancholy. And so when you tamper on that mount with unpleasant signs, the repercussion can also be unpleasant. Okay, so when you have a cross on your headline facing the mount of Saturn, that indicates sudden death. It indicates untimely death. It indicates that you will die at an early age in your life. Where the star is situated could imply that at about the age of, let's say, 2022, you would have exited this earth. Okay? But not to worry, because if you consciously fight against the desire of exiting this material earth, that sign can gradually fade away. But you need to take concerted effort to resist your desires and intention of taking no interest in this earth. Sometimes in life, we don't live for ourselves, we live for others. And so if you fight to live for others, that inauspicious sign can fade away and you can live past that speculated time that was ordained for you to exit this earth. Let me share with you an experience that I had. When I was about 2 to 3 years old, my mother told me that I was asthmatic. So several times I would just go short of air, and then I would faint. I would cease to breathe, and then after a long while, I would return. I had been taken to hospital repeatedly, but after a while, it never happened again to me. And I took interest to know why I didn't suffer that health related problem after I had passed that age in my life. Interestingly, when I stumbled into palmistry about 12 to 13 years ago, I got to discover that I had a cross at this region of my palm on the headline. And it was about that time frame I was an asthmatic person and my life was threatened. And my parents were threatened that I could die at any instant. Then when I looked carefully, I saw a sign of preservation. Okay, it wasn't even a cross, it was a dot. A dot too, in many instances, is an unfavorable sign. So when I discovered that dot, I also found a sign of preservation in the form of a square surrounding that dot. I could understand why I haven't had that situation in my life again. That condition used to make me stammer a lot. I was a chronic stammerer, but I stammer no more. You know, I had this sign of preservation in the form of a square that helped me overcome that health challenge. And then afterwards, I didn't have any unfavorable sign on my head. So you can understand why I have piqued a lot of interest in palmistry, because it reveals a lot of facts that can be verified. Now we're going to talk about dots. When you have a dot on your lifeline, maybe somewhere here like this, it is not a good sign. It means that at about this age, let us say this age is, let's say this is 55 years, 55 years of age, you will have a chronic health problem. And if care is not taken, you could as well die suddenly. Please take note of this. I have a friend who has a dot on his left palm. This friend of mine, he neither drinks or smokes, you know, he looks strong, but he has had, some symptoms of illness that has been showing up in his life, and chances are that it will be aggravated in the far future, and he asks why, that he's not abusing his health, so why is his health threatened? And I said, perhaps your grandfather or your great grandfather had been abusing his health, and you came from that line of his gene and inherited some health problems that might manifest in the future. So it is important that right now you continue to take more precaution so that you will be able to overcome that future threat. And he was pleased to know about it, because actually his great grandfather had a lot of health problems as a result of his abuse on his body that he had, being undergoing, such as smoking, drinking, you can name it. Okay? So having a dot on your lifeline is not a good sign to have. Now, I have a free advice to give, and that is, you have to psych your mind against the inclination of dying at a particular point in time. When you come across someone who has committed suicide, they had thought about it long before. If they thought up positive things about life, if they were full of hope, they would not have done such a thing. So you can see the virtue and power of thought. So if you feel threatened or you have these signs, I suggest to you to pray regularly and rebuke such chances in the future. And one of the scripture I like to pray with oftentimes is Psalm 23, because it helps build your mind to trust in a higher and superior power that can salvage you from any form of circumstance. The last one we're going to be looking at is cross on Saturn mount. If you have a cross right here, it is not a good sign. Saturn mount is a very powerful mount, and it is a mount that you have to be careful about. If you have a cross in this mount, it means that at the age of about 55 years old, you will suffer a great deal from financial instability. Your life will be at its end. You will suffer a life of misery, disappointments, anger, and danger, and you'll be endangered. You suffer a chance of dying suddenly. So let's say you have a faith line coming like this. That implies that you will have a successful career. Everything will go smooth. But at this junction, your success will be terminated, and then you would be endangered. You could die in a fatal accident whatsoever. So you have to take precaution ahead of time. You have to read to yourself some mantra and affirm life and health to yourself, and take some precautive measures too. If you are riding on a bicycle, please go on your helmet. Avoid anything that would endanger your life. It's very important. The last one I'd like to mention, which I haven't written on the board, is circle. If you have a circle anywhere on the mount of moon here, please, my brother, my sister, do not travel on water. We are familiar of this old English adage that says, a man whose life goes in circle never achieves anything in life. And so you now have a circle on the mount of moon. The moon has greater effect and power on the water more than the sun. Every other living organism, have their life sustained by the sun. But the moon has greater power on the waters. Okay? So if you have a circle mark on this region of your palm here in the mount of moon, it is not a good sign to have. You have to avoid waters to avoid any form of accident. So these are just a few signs of death, on our palms. If you have any question, if you have an impression whatsoever, please put it on the comments below and we can discuss this further. Thank you.